Now that it's past the third anniversary of the Crew 2, there are still a lot of issues, bugs, and things that I and we the community have been having an issue with and wanting in the Crew 2 for a long while now. And I want to talk about some of those points and ways that Ivory Tower could implement features or fix issues. And just before we start, I will be making a couple of comparisons between the Crew 1 and 2, even though they are somewhat pretty different from each other. So let's get started. The first thing that I want to address are the long loading screens during certain parts in the gameplay. From what I can remember, every time that I've loaded up in the Crew 2 with my friends, it always takes a long while for the game to load, whether that be into the game map, teleporting, and even accepting race invites. For instance, when I play with my friends and we want to start a race, obviously the leader has to start the event by driving into the event starting thingy, and when the rest of us accept the invite, the loading time is pretty bad. If in the case that we accept the invite and want to switch out cars once we're loaded in, oftentimes we don't get to because even that has a long loading time. Me and my friends play on PS4, so I'm not sure if this is something that all platforms have an issue with. Maybe on PC the loading times are much better, hopefully, but I wouldn't know. I don't know any possible reason why the game takes so long to load. I'm not really a game expert or anything, but if anyone watching this knows why, feel free to let us know. The second thing that I think absolutely has to be addressed by Ivory Tower is live battle, the PvP of the Crew 2, and specifically cheating. In PvP, there are tons of ways to cheat in the street race and hypercar events. In some of the events, there are tons of shortcuts that people can take just to cut off a few seconds or milliseconds, and doesn't make it fair to those who try to follow the course properly and want to rank up properly. One example that I can think of is the Road to New Orleans race, when you're about to enter New Orleans and there's this big shortcut that you can take over the grass just to skip a whole corner. And sure, you can make the argument that if you want to be competitive, you should take advantage of that sort of stuff, but I just feel that it isn't fair to those who want to race properly on the route. There was an update last year, the Inner Drive update, that completely nerfed the speed of your vehicle when going off-road, which did sort of help, but speeding on the grass with nitrous still lets you cut corners just as easily. If you do this in single player or in a crew race where your peers are fine with it, that's cool, and I don't think everyone has a problem with that. New York has some of the most insane shortcuts, and I wouldn't mind cutting off some time just to get myself a good 300k. Like I said, the problem is that you're still able to cheat and cut corners and segments in PvP. So a solution that I came up with is to somehow track where the player is, and if it's detected that their entire car is on the dirt or too far away from the route, then they get instantly respawned to either the last piece of road that they were on or the previously achieved checkpoint. This instantly makes it so that people can't cheat in these races and get spawned back into their previous on-road location or even penalized for it. Now for some positive thinking, I think it'd be cool to have a race/route creator in the Crew 2. The Crew 2 has such a big map that it takes about 30 minutes to go from one end to the other, and with a map as big as this, it's honestly a shame that this game doesn't already have some type of custom race maker. Forza Horizon and GTA have custom race editors, and I've spent tons of hours creating dozens of races in the GTA race creator just because of all the possible routes that you could create. Adding a custom race maker with a map like this would be insane, and to me it would add so much more content to the game just from that one feature. Imagine if we could create our own races and then upload them to the community, and just imagine how much fun it would be doing those races with friends. What if there was a staff pick community race that was added to the live summit every week? I personally wouldn't even mind getting less money for custom races, because just the fact that we could have infinite possibilities for race designs would be enough to satisfy me. And no, Ivory Tower, I don't think anybody would think you're copying off of those other games. Speaking of more races, I'd really love to see more long distance races. Not the ones that take 4 to 6 minutes to complete, but more 15-minute and 30-minute type of races. I love the long distance races, but there just aren't enough of them, and it's really easy to get bored of grinding New York if you're just doing it over and over again, and likewise with the 15-minute races that we have in the game. In the Crew 1, there was so much more long distance races, as well as varying lengths of the races. Some could take you 20 minutes, 40 minutes, or 2.5 hours if you're doing Landmark Tour. But the point is that there needs to be more variety of these long events, and I'd love for the other classes in the game to have long events. Why is it that Street Race only has one long race restricted to a certain bike, when in the previous game, even the slowest class Street had a couple of long events? Give us longer off-road races. Maybe have a 50-lap race around the Little Eagle Speedrome, because for some reason it's not even used in this game for any event. We did recently get the US Speed Tour East and currently US Speed Tour West, but those are time trials that are only around 4 to 6 minutes long, and let's be honest, most of us got bored of it after the first 2 weeks. More opportunities to make some good money would be really helpful and give us some variety when grinding, rather than the same 5 or 6 races that we have in the game. All in all, these are just a few of the issues and things that I have and want in the Crew 2. There are obviously a lot of other issues in the Crew 2 that should be brought to attention, like how sometimes when customizing visual parts, your screen just goes blank, or why does accepting an event invite sometimes switch your car to the most driven in the class, even if you're already in a car in that class. But that's all for this video, and maybe I'll see you next time. Take care.